from Davos Productions, and let me tell you, it has been a really long time since I've had an upload. I've actually been touring Europe, but I'm finally back, so I'm going to have a bunch of uploads on this week, including a vlog of the trip, as well as a bunch of first-person shooting, hopefully, if I can get that filmed. But today, we are doing something I haven't done in a while, and that's a review. Today, we are taking a look at the Nerf Modulus Tri-Strike. It came out earlier in spring 2016. By the way, Happy New Year to all of you. But yeah, it's an awesome blaster, so let's start. You have three main components to the blaster. You have a Mega Dart hamp launcher at the very front, and it can be attached to any barrel attachment, except, well, like regular end strike barrel attachments. You also have, if I can get it off, you also have a Demolisher missile launcher at the back, and it's meant to go at, this part's meant to be at your stock, and then this goes on the top of the blaster, and to fire, you pull the stock back and then shoot, and it has the tube which puts the air into the missile. It can also be combined together because this has a stock attachment point and just be put into one blaster. It's actually pretty awesome. It's my first Modulus blaster, and you finally have the base blaster. It's basically, in essence, around the size of a Retaliator. If I grab one here, you can say they're about the same size. The only main difference is that the Retaliator uses a top slide to prime, whereas this uses priming bars, kind of like your long shot or your long strike. And it has a pretty nice punch. The jam door is pretty nice as well. You have some iron sights at the top, and it comes with a 10 dart clip with the Modulus darts. But that's just a basic overview. Now let's start taking a look at the blasters in depth on my mounting table. So here's the Mega Dart barrel launcher. We'll start from the front to the back. So at the front you have what seems to be a huge inner barrel, but then you see that it's just a tiny one about the size of the Retaliators. You have four barrels to hold your Mega Darts. It is a smart AR system, so it'll detect, let's say I just put a Mega Dart in here, it'll shoot from that one. I didn't put any power into that shot, so it didn't go anywhere. But something else I've noticed about the system when I first got it, if you just leave the Mega Dart like that, you have to push it all the way in to make sure it gets a really tight fit so it launches far enough. Because let's say I just loosely place it in, because it's not engaging the smart AR, nothing is going to happen. I found it kind of weird because it's not like the Triad or anything where you don't have to push it as far. The smart AR system is really far in the back, because I guess because it's Mega Darts instead of Elites, so it's a lot harder to engage. It's a really awesome color scheme in my opinion. As you saw earlier, to fire it, it's like a hamp style, sort of like the Demolisher missile launcher. So you pull forward and then pull back with all your force. It lets air through whatever smart AR its dart barrel the smart AR senses, and it'll shoot your dart out. We move farther back, you have the Nerf logo as well as caution instructions on the hamp itself and on the top of the barrel right here. On the other side, you also have the same Nerf logo, but none of those cool, none of the warning labels, but you do have these kind of odd scaling. It doesn't really add to comfort or anything. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the functionality of the barrel attachment. But if we go into ergonomics, it actually isn't horrible. But what I find is these two ridges on the sides of the hand dig into my hand, because I like coming back instead of all the way forward. But it is a pretty big hamp, and I have about medium-sized hands, and they fit perfectly onto it. It's pretty nice to play with, and we will just load it back up and set this to the side. Next we have the Demolisher missile launcher. It is pretty big, but the basics of how this functions is kind of like the hamp, except you pull the stock piece back and then push it forward, which forces air through the tube and then forces the missile out. It has some decent power, but really I think all of you can guess why it's not the most powerful, because of the tube. It just doesn't work as well as I'd like it to have, but it does have a pretty huge barrel so that the missile can fit in. It's a pretty snug fit for a missile, but I mean, it works fine. I actually really enjoy this. This is my favorite part of the blaster, because when I came to look at the Modulus line, I wasn't looking for attachments in general. I was looking at modularity in essence, so that because this blaster works awesomely. So if we got your retaliator here, this part functions as a stock, and then you can throw this up at the top rail. It doesn't function as well with the retaliator because it's slide primed, but then I'm gonna put it on all the way. But here, as you can see, it works awesome as just being a stock, and then you run out of ammo but you still want the missile launcher, you can just take it off and then combine it to make a separate blaster. That's what I love about this, about the Tri-Strike. In terms of ergonomics, the handle when you're taking it off as a separate blaster is kind of rectangular and it's not the most comfortable, but as a stock, there are these ridges which I don't really like, but it's honestly not that bad. It reminds me of a Retaliator stock. So that's the module, or the stock, and now we get to the base blaster. As I said, about the same size as a Retaliator, and I actually really love this because it just, I love the feel of this blaster. The only thing I dislike is that the mag release is kind of far out, but let's start from the top. The barrel, if I bring it up, you can see that it doesn't match any of the Elite Blue or the Elite Orange. It's a completely different color. Like, you can see it right there. It's almost a reddish, and it's kind of weird. Then you have your iron sights, and then a big old jam door, which doesn't give you that much clearance. It would have been nice if it was bigger, but I guess they needed room for the tack rail for the Demolisher stock. You have your iron sights, which line up right there, and you have the big old tack rail. At the very bottom, you have a 10 dart Modulus mag. This is actually the only 10. I think this is the only 10 stick mag. You also have the Demolisher and Modulus banana mags, but this is the only 10 stick mag, I think. It's translucent on one side and then solid on the other, and it comes with the tactical white Modulus darts. They're pretty awesome. This is my first Modulus blaster, so I'm pretty happy to have those. We move farther back. The handle, it's kind of one of those skeletal Modulus handles, kind of like on the Ironfire, but I find this one actually extremely comfortable. You have your priming bars, which are actually a lot smaller than the long shot and the long strikes, but they are perfectly fine functioning. The only thing I extremely dislike about this, unlike the Retaliator where you can just prime and then you have your mag release right here, with the Tri-Strike, you can't. It's way too far out, so you have to use like your middle finger or use the other hand to take out the mag. What I personally like to do is actually let go, hold the mag, use my second finger here and pull it right out, and then, yeah, and then you can put it right back. Let's see if we'll have a jam. Possibly. There we go. I actually haven't had this blaster jam up, and I've run probably about, I'd say around 100 darts through it. I actually love this blaster because this, although it's a bolt action, it has slam fire. The slam fire is the smoothest slam fire I've ever felt. It's better than the Rampage. It's close to as good as the Paragon, which actually had really good slam fire for all of you Vortex haters. And it has that atrocious Modulus lime green that we've all grown used to. You have the Nerf logo in black, Tri-Strike logo, and then the Modulus logo, which is engraved right here. On the other side, you have the Nerf logo and the Modulus logo, but instead of the Tri-Strike, and these aren't painted, instead of the Tri-Strike logo, you have the warnings, and you also have them down here. As well as there's, right next to the priming bar, you won't be able to see it, but you can feel it. There's like comic strip instruction that's super weird, but that is all for the actual Tri-Strike. And if we put it together, it is actually pretty decently sized, about, I'd say, the size of my Titan. It's pretty big. So now that we've gotten over the overview, let's head to some shooting tests and then to my final thoughts. So we have 20 feet lined up right here. We have the classic DBP symbol up. So we'll be aiming for the center. Eight shots from the main blaster, 1 Demolisher missile, and 4 mega darts. I think we'll start with the main blaster. Something I didn't mention earlier, you actually can't use the iron sights because of the Demolisher missile, so it's kind of anti-productive, but I'll try. we'll do the last 4 shots in slam fire. So that wasn't the most accurate blasting, but it was still pretty decent. Moving on to the Megadart Ham. So not the most accurate again, and finally the missile launcher actually not even reaching the symbol. So that was fire and demo. Let's move on to final thoughts. So in terms of final thoughts for the Tri-Strike, I absolutely love this blaster just because it's using 3 different ammos. You can just grab whatever ammunition your opponent's firing, throw it in, hamp it, launch it, or fire it, whatever means you have to take. I actually love the blaster. The only thing I don't like is the jam door and how far the mag release is, but I can get over that. It's heading, the actual base blaster, I love that it has slam fire. It's getting pretty decent ranges. The hamp is actually getting really awesome ranges for what it is. It's a hamp blaster. The only thing I'm slightly disappointed in is the missile launcher, I think, because of the tube, it's getting a bit less ranges. It wasn't even reaching 15 feet, which kind of really sucked. But it's a really, really awesome blaster. For its price, it's around $60 Canadian, I think 50 or 45 US. But I actually really recommend this as a pickup. I absolutely love this blaster, if you can't already tell. But that is going to be all for this review. I hope you guys have had an awesome winter break. That is me, AJ from Dabos Productions, signing off. Have a great day, guys.
Walker.